Are we all fighting for our lives financially right now, or is it just me? I have a good degree. I work 3 jobs. I budget the hell out of my money to an annoying, like, obsession. Like, I'm watching every single penny I'm spending because I'm trying to pay off all of my student loans. But times are tough right now. Like, man, I feel like the more you work, the more you have to pay for. And it's tough out there right now. Like, I think I do well, and then I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh my God. Or I go to the grocery store and I'm like, oh wow, eggs are $10 again. Woohoo. Like, man, it is tough right now. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one because sometimes I'll look and I'll be like, oh my God, all these people I know are like traveling and buying nice things. And I'm like, wow, how? Is there a secret?
They are hiding mortgage delinquencies in the form of loan modifications and data provider methodology. However, there are some things they can no longer hide. VA loan delinquencies is one of them, as those delinquencies are now skyrocketing. Homeowners in natural disaster areas have skyrocketing delinquencies as well. And any homeowner at all who wasn't prepared for the surging cost and adjustable expenses of property taxes and homeowners insurance have heavy buyer's remorse as a result of the unexpected financial turmoil. And here's the thing, you guys, not only are homeowners struggling, but virtually every single American is also struggling financially. And so I'm going to show you guys how much each category of debt has actually gone up from 2019 to current. And we're going to compare that to see how that relates to income growth. I'm also going to cover multiple housing market analysts to see what their predictions are for 2025 home prices. And happy Monday morning. Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. You guys already know this video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Happy Monday morning, Mitch. How are you, sir?
Good. The delinquencies are going to foretell what's coming because the raw data shows the delinquencies are ramping up, and that ties into everything we've been talking about in the last couple of videos. It's all linked, but we'll get there as we go through this video.
Yes, and when I say hiding the data in the form of loan modifications, remember the VA moratorium has ended. So let's see what impact that's actually having on delinquencies. The first set of data I want to show you is the VA foreclosure starts essentially jumping by 30%. Now, I said delinquencies, but the reality is it's foreclosure starts. Now, the way that you see that is that blue line right here, right by my arrow. So you see how essentially there is no blue. Again, the VA moratorium ended, and look at that massive, massive spike in foreclosure starts. Now, if we go all the way back pre-COVID to January 2019, you can see right now that VA delinquencies is about approximately double the amount of what it is historically. Homeowners in natural disaster areas are also taking an absolute beating. Here's some mortgage performance data and update on the California wildfires. So this is showing you guys the surge or change in mortgage late payments from January 2025 from December 2024. So only in 1 month. So it starts right here. The area surrounding the Eaton fire, which is around Altadena, we showed you that, I put a video out, has gone up 0.9%. Areas around the Palisades has gone up 1.5%, but the people that were in the Eaton fire has only gone up 3.5%. Surrounding the Palisades have gone up 3.2%. Now, I also showed you guys what happened with the hurricanes in Tennessee and West North Carolina, and it's the same trends as this. Delinquencies are skyrocketing, and literally every place a natural disaster hits. The interesting data set that they also provided is how many people are almost late on their mortgage. So they're late, but they're not technically late from a credit standpoint. You have to be 30 days late for it to hit your credit. So this is showing you guys the change in percentage of mortgage payments received by the 14th business day of the month. So essentially right before, depending on the lender, a late fee hits. And look at this, guys. In the Palisades, that has gone up 23.9%. So people are struggling to make their mortgage payment. That is undisputable. The Eaton fire, those people, that late payment has gone up 16.7%. The homeowners surrounding the Palisades, that's gone up 5.3%. And the homeowners surrounding the Eaton fire, that's gone up 1.5%. Virtually every homeowner that was not prepared for the adjustable expenses of homeownership has been bamboozled. When I say adjustable, what I'm talking about is property taxes and homeowners insurance. Most people's mortgages, as far as the principal and interest, is fixed, but the taxes and insurance are not. I want you guys to pay attention to property taxes and homeowners insurance. So starting with property insurance, the left bar in gray is the 1-year change. To the right of that is the 5-year change. So property insurance in the last 5 years. So since about 2020, can you believe that's 5 years ago? So since about 2020, property insurance has gone up 61%, but it gets a lot worse than that, you guys, because it's gone up over the last year 14% in just 1 year. Now, the next column is property taxes. Property taxes, this says, have gone up 22% in the 5 years, and over 1 year has gone up 5%. Now, honestly, that's completely ridiculous. I could show you multiple houses to where property taxes went up a heck of a lot more than that. Now, I also think it's interesting that they also noted that principal hasn't gone up in the last year. Well, if principal hasn't gone up, that means that home values should not have gone up either. But I think they got their math wrong, and their methodology is really tainting their numbers because they're showing home price growth. This is showing 0% growth. This is property insurance trends. And I want to point out that the Panhandle in Florida has done relatively well when compared to Texas. Now, Texas is not doing well. In Houston, homeowners insurance in 1 year has gone up 16%. Where Mitch lives around Dallas, it's gone up even more, 20%. So again, Mitch, that's crazy to me because you guys deal with, I think, a tornado every once in a while. We're dealing with hurricanes, it seems like, every single year, but yet your insurance is up more than mine. The hurricanes have been battering Florida over the last 5 years, yet their insurances over 1 year have only gone up about 6%. The reason that is the state. The state has come up with a program to help offset some of those insurance expenses. When we look at actual home price growth, according to Black Knight, it's essentially saying that the Panhandle, these states where I'm circling right here, it's pretty devastated. We have negative decline all over the place right here. You can see that a little bit, one place in California as well, Central, nothing on the East Coast. East Coast is getting hammered, but regardless, you guys, multiple metro areas, at least right now, as of January, are showing signs of month-over-month home price decline. Mitch, my question for you is, regarding the foreclosure data, and I want people to really understand kind of how this works, because foreclosures alone, that's not a recessionary indicator. Usually that's a sign we're in recession, right? So, would you agree with this? The more that equity drops, fueled by unemployment and distressed sales, the higher the delinquency rate will be.
Yes, because it's a circular argument, frankly, straight into hell. So what happens, if you think about it, the banks make loans on single family, then the single family is mom and pop, but they're under stress. So one or both may lose a job, and that becomes a self-fulfilling argument that if they lost the job, the mortgage can't be paid, the bank gets hurt. And regardless of what the interest rates are at that time in the marketplace, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a loan. The people that survive this type of nonsense, because instability has occurred, are those who have cash. So until it bottoms out and the loans come back into effect, where regular mom and pop can afford to go buy again, it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's the snowball effect. So all of these things are tied, but that is what's going to happen. And that their median household income, if it's going down, clearly it can't keep up with inflation. So by definition, and we've proven this, by the way. So in our documents, we've literally shown, and most people that are viewing this video, about the 37% of the households are going to lose the roof over their head, and or they're going to go bankrupt. And that is because of exactly what Travis just showed. And so it's a circular argument straight into hell, for which there is no floor. The floor can only come when the fraud is out of the system.
You know, Mitch, wait until I show you the third segment on consumer health, all of the debt that we're in, the delinquency rates, and the lack of income growth. It's really going to blow your mind. Or you're going to be like, yeah, that's about right because we've been talking about it. But first, before I do that, I want to go into some forecasters on what they believe is going to happen with the housing market. And then I want to talk about how methodology allows for financial bias. Let's start right here. This is an article from Financial Samurai on 2025 home price forecasts. Okay. So one of the questions I'm also going to ask Mitch is what he thinks is going to happen with nominal home prices in 2025. But take a look at some of this, guys, and I will link this in this video so you can access this. But Apollo Global Management is saying that home prices are going to go up 10.8%. Comment below whether or not you agree with that. I don't know how people would be able to afford that, but they're saying 10.8%. Bank of America is saying 4.7. Trash Core Logic, that's saying it's going to go up 2.3. Fannie Mae, 3.6. Freddie Mac, 0.6, even though they're brother and sister. Goldman Sachs, 4.4. Housing Wire, dang it, Housing Wire, 3.5. And Moody's. Moody's is the only one that is saying that we will have negative nominal home prices this year. They're saying home prices are going to go down 0.4%, which is essentially nothing when over the last 5 years, home prices have absolutely skyrocketed. No, Morgan Stanley is saying 3%, Mortgage Bankers Association 1.5, NAR is saying 2, and Redfin, because of their methodology, is saying 4%, Wells Fargo 4.9, and Zillow 2.9. Now, again, you guys may want to go back here because they have some details on each of these companies and why they're making those forecasts. You guys see this here? And it is pretty interesting. I just don't want to waste your time because I don't care about methodology. I just want the raw numbers. Here's another article that came out right after that that's saying that these metro areas are going to lose home value, starting with Phoenix Mesa area. Currently, the share of listings with price reductions are 32.6%. Number 2 is Tampa, with total share of listings with price reductions at 28.7%. Yikes. Jacksonville sitting at 27. And then we have San Antonio at 25, Orlando at 24, Denver at 24, Tucson, Arizona at 24, Dallas at 23, Portland at 22, and Austin at 22%. So you guys see a lot of Texas metros and a lot of Florida metro areas on that list as well. Before I ask you about home price growth in 2025 and whether or not we'll have any, or you think we'll have any, can you first explain to the viewers how a company's methodology can create a financial bias?
Without the raw data, the reality is that their methodologies don't exist. Their methodologies are based on a wish. It's based on a political narrative that isn't true. And what you just showed with regard to the housing prices, where somebody says, well, it's going up 10%. Based on what? There's not a stitch of evidence on this planet. Further to the point, NQ is down 14% in 3 days. Pensions are going down, 401k is down, expenses up, and government regulation up. So the moron that literally put down, well, it's going up 10.8% is nothing more than a political narrative and or a wish. They just proved it. So if you have access to the raw data, that's what's important. Everybody flapping their gums isn't going to get you anywhere. It isn't going to tell you the truth. And in order to deal with this problem, the truth has to be stated. And there is a solution for all of this. But you can't get to the solution unless you can state what the truth is. So people are being deluded based on a political narrative, and that all has to go away. And anybody that's pushing that political narrative, including the press, should literally be put out of business.
Okay. And what do you think is going to happen in 2025 with nominal home prices? You think they're going to keep going up maybe, or you think they're going to go down? What do you think happens this year with home prices?
The speed of the volatility will dictate how fast the housing market will crash. But that's what we're looking at. So let's define a crash. Well, if your sales drop by 40 or 50%, there's your crash. Because that means nobody's buying. They're now in a fear. People are in a fear mode, in a panic mode. Oh, am I going to have a job? Well, if I don't have a job, or I may lose my job, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to bury my head in the sand and hope all of this goes away. The problem is, based on the documents that we've already published, there's one coming out on the Federal Reserve itself. These problems aren't going away. They're getting bigger because the fraud has gotten to the point where it has superseded the median household income ability to pay. And that is the definition of bankruptcy, when your liabilities are greater than your assets.
I mean, certainly transactions have crashed, right? Probably since maybe midway through 2022, when they started quantitative tightening, for sure, transactions have crashed. But prices, I'm talking about prices, right? Like we know that homes are the mortgage-backed securities, they're highly leveraged. The Federal Reserve has figured out how to set systemically its hooks into our balance sheets, into our homes. We have these property tax issues. My specific question, though, from a percentage standpoint, do you think that home prices will go down in 2025?
They're already down, right? You've got houses right where you live at $102 a foot. And frankly, that's ridiculously cheap. The problem is it's not cheap enough.
Right. No, let me specify even more. So yes, right. But I'm using the math, right? And that's why, to viewers, using the math is so important. Like subdivision analysis, I could literally take 30,000 listings and within 5 minutes figure out what's under market. I mean, that's how valuable using the raw data is. But Mitch, I'm talking about a nationwide home price crash because the market is bifurcated. There are a lot of places on the East Coast, like we just showed the viewers, that those prices are holding strong. So I'm talking a nationwide, not in little pockets in Florida and in Texas. I'm talking nationwide averages. Is that going to be up or is that going to be down this year?
It's going to be down a lot. I mean, it just has to. I mean, you can look at California with all the rules and regulations. They can't even replace what already burned down in a fire. I mean, there's so many problems everywhere. The net result is cumulative compound, not just of the interest on the debt, cumulative compound of the problems that were created by the interest on the fraudulent debt. And then you add the government regulations on top, they're stopping people from rebuilding. This is out and out insanity. Those people are criminals, they should be arrested, end of story. And
I'm going to show you, and I got 2 TikTok videos I'm going to show of how bad consumers really are doing, whether they're renters or homeowners. But can you give us a percentage? What would you say as far as a range and percentage that you expect home values to go down this year nominally?
If I was betting, a minimum of 15%.
15. Okay. Well, it certainly can be.
Well, it's going to be, that's today, right? So the longer this goes, the worse this gets. And we've already said that the stock market is probably looking at a good 30% downdraft. We've already had 20, right? So you got another 10% to go before things start to maybe stabilize. But here's the point. The debt, as a result of the Federal Reserve, if they literally go and start saying, we're going to go rescue these banks, all bets are off. You're going to be looking at a 40 or 50% downdraft in housing. You're probably looking at a greater depression because they will turn this country into the Weimar Republic by virtue of the currency devaluation. They will kill it. If they go to print, game over.
And you will start hearing me call the current administration tyrants if that happens. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, Mitch. The consumer. And let's talk about how much debt they're holding and their lack of income, right? The whole elephant in the room is really you and I. We are the elephants in the room, but we matter the most. We're supposed to control the government, but it's not that way. Either way, I want to start by playing a TikTok video because I want you guys to hear what some of these young adults are really going for and their mentalities. Let's listen to this first video.
Is it bad that when I see somebody my age talking about being in massive amounts of credit card debt, like people who go on Caleb Hammer and they're like, yeah, I'm in $40,000 of credit card debt, that it kind of inspires me to spend more money on my credit cards? Because I'm kind of like, damn, I could be going so much harder. Like, I'm over here stressing about my little bit of credit card debt. I'm pinching pennies. I'm saving my money. And like, you're like $20,000 in credit card debt. What did you even do? What did you even get? You probably got everything you ever wanted. And I'm over here denying my, like stressing out over buying myself a cup of coffee. And you're in thousands of dollars in debt. What am I doing? Like, maybe I'm not enjoying my life to the fullest.
Mitch, she hasn't gone through a recession yet. So she doesn't know that what she just said is going to bankrupt her. I know that because that's exactly, literally the exact mentality that I had back in 2007, 8, and 9 when I myself had a foreclosure, bankruptcy, repo, and 6-figure tax lien. But here's what I want to show people. I want to show you guys the historically high car delinquencies, school loan delinquencies, and I'm going to show you guys how much debt has really gone up since 2019, which shockingly, and I had to do the math on this twice, was 6 years ago. 2019 was over 6 years ago. Does that not shock you? Either way, let's start here. The first thing I want to point out on one of the reasons why the housing market is going to crash and homeowners are absolutely cooked, it's not just because of the adjustable, massive skyrocketing expenses, it's the massive prices as well. Essentially, no one can afford this. It is simply unsustainable. But when you look at this chart, again, you guys are familiar with this. It takes 7.36 years of your income to pay your house. That is showing you guys some massive price bubble. But this is what I want to show you right here. Auto loans with a 60 plus delinquency rate. You can see in red here, you can see that this is skyrocketing up. And this chart goes to 1992. We have never had a time in history that subprime auto loan delinquencies were this high. So the car market is in danger of melting down. And that's why I've been saying, you guys, look out for that bailout because we do not want it. But regardless, there has never been a time, at least going back to 1992, where auto loan delinquencies was this high. Student loans, there's only been one time in history going back to about January of 2012 where the delinquencies were 15.46%. So there's only one time in history where student loan delinquencies were this high. But I want to point out when they were that high, they immediately started trending downward. And I want you to pay attention to the trajectory. The trajectory of these delinquencies are absolutely out of control. In fact, we don't know how high this is even going to go because they just kickstart student loans back into gear. Nevertheless, people ain't paying school loans and people ain't paying their car loans. We're going to start going over several categories of debt. And all I'm going to do is go back to January of 2019 to current. So the first thing I'm starting with is credit card debts. So when we look here at January 2019, credit card debt was about $807 billion. If you fast forward just 6 years later to right now, we have 1.091 trillion. So we have slightly over $1 trillion in credit card debt. That means in the last 6 years that credit card debt for consumers has gone up $284 billion, or rather 35%. So the average American has 35%, and this is horrible debt. Okay, this debt will bankrupt you, has 35% more credit card debt. When I look at motor vehicles, it's equally as bad. Back in Q4 of 2019, vehicle loans were at $1.184 trillion. Fast forward today, that has ballooned up and kind of plateaued here because people are really starting to get broke, has ballooned up to 1.568 trillion. That means in that period of time from 2019 to right now, auto loan debt has gone up $384 billion, or rather 32%. So credit cards up 35%. Auto loans up 32%. School loans haven't gone up that much because probably people are not going to school as much. And I want to ask you guys below, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? But regardless, back in January of 2019, student loans were at $1.597 trillion. Like, my God, that's still a lot, right? And that's ballooned up to $1.777 trillion for an increase in that period of time of $180 billion, which is only an increase. It's still a lot, but it's only an increase compared to the other ones of 11.2%. When we look at mortgages and we go back to Q4 of 2019, mortgages were sitting at about 16.018 trillion. If we fast forward today, you can see on the upper left here, it's now at $20.833 trillion. That represents an increase since 2019 of $4.8 trillion. So just real quick, take that $4.8 trillion and lever that up 20 times, because those mortgages are now collateral called mortgage-backed securities, and they're levered up against something as collateral. But regardless, this represents an increase of 30%. When we look at income, we want income to have gone up, what, about 30%, right? Because that's the average increase of all of the other debt. But the problem here, guys, and this only goes to 2013, and this is real median household income. Okay, when we're looking at real median household income, back in 2019, it went from 81,210, and this chart is to 2023, down to 80,610. That is a loss of income of $600, or slightly less than 1% at 0.7%. So all of the debt skyrockets up, delinquencies are skyrocketing up, but income goes down. Do you guys see the problem here? And we can see the problem in the headlines with one article like this that came out April 4th stating that Trump is calling for a rate cut to rescue markets. Why he might be right. Another article that came out 2 days ago, number of Americans collecting unemployment benefits is the highest since 2021. One more article even, and we made a video on this, U.S. employers cut 275,000 jobs in March. That is the third highest month total on record. Let's listen to one more TikTok video from an American that's struggling, and then I got some questions for Mitch.
I'm literally broke. I don't have no money saved in my bank account. I'm young and I cannot buy a house because I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money to buy a house. And I'm super broke. I don't have no money saved and I work paycheck to paycheck to pay my rent. This is what people are saying on the internet. Okay, they're talking about how they don't have no money. Like it's so many young people who don't have no money, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because we're overspending on other things. We're overspending. We're overdoing it. A lot of us is going out on trips, buying a lot of food, eating takeout all the time, paying for things that we should not be paying for, doing too much all the time. Like, what happened to us? Like treating ourselves every blue moon. Like treating ourselves has become a thing every single day. Every single day, young people are wanting to treat themselves with something. And that's the problem. We're overspending, boo. You're overspending. That's what it is. A lot of times it's not people's rent. We're overspending. We're seeing the amount, we're paying the bills, and then we're like, oh, there's leftover money. I could use it for something instead of saving. I seen this video. The girl was talking about how she don't have no money saved in her bank account, but some change. And she showed her bank account. And then she has a credit card, $5,000 in debt off of a credit card. I don't even know how is that possible. Like, and she was young. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I hate credit cards. I hate it because it's a setup, and you would never see me get no credit card. No. I already got to pay school loans. I already got to pay them back. I'm not getting no more credit. Nothing. Like, I'm not playing these games with the government. Like, a lot of us young people, we use too much money. We look at leftover money and we think it's free, and it's not. It should be saved for a rainy day.
She so kind of seemed like she had her head on her shoulders. And even with that, she's broke. She's warning us about what her peers are doing. And she's actually warning her peers that obviously they're not listening. But, ultimately, Mitch, buying a home right now is extremely dangerous. And as a result of these people not caring what's going on with mom and pop, and when we look under the hood at the mortgage market and we look at the loan modifications, we look at the delinquencies, we didn't even cover FHA, there is a mortgage crisis brewing right now that more than likely is going to require some type of bailout, once again, at the expense of pushing millions of Americans into poverty for potentially decades. And so my question for you is why is it important for economists to pay attention to consumer health, and why do they not do that?
Those two young women are the poster child for why the school system has completely failed. The idea that a person should say, well, my friend is spending more money, so I should join into that equation and go spend more money, is crazy. It proves the point. The school system has failed. And that ties right into your last question, Travis, which is the median household income is less than the inflation-driven cost of goods. Right? Inflation goes up, cost of goods goes up. The median household income is less than the inflation-driven cost of goods. Well, that means that mom and pop, by definition, in excess of the 37% that we've already stated, are bankrupt. Their median household income cannot keep up. And that's the problem. And it gets worse in that the numbers that are being bandied about by the economists, these economists are paid to lie. A or B, they're ignorant. Either way, they're culpable in hurting society. And that is a huge problem because they're no better than the school districts themselves that don't teach. The economists are getting paid and they don't teach. They preach a wish. Their wish is that they keep their job on the back of mom and pop, having to pay for their job. That's the problem with all of this. The raw data shows what's going on. The press does the best they can, including the economists, to hide the raw data to keep the appearance of, well, we have a healthy economy going. We haven't had a healthy economy in years. It's getting worse and worse. And now the compound cumulative effect of it getting worse and worse is starting to surface. We'll see what happens later today.
You know, Mitch, I remember when I think I was 20, it could have been 23, but I believe I was 22. So I was a young man and I was making way too much money. And I remember one time when I was walking in a mall, I just walked into the mall. As soon as I got in the mall, I started having this overwhelming anxiety to buy stuff. So as a young man that I was raised right, I made a ton of money. So I think I was smart. I'm looking back like, actually I wasn't, I just bought into the system. But in other words, I was chasing after a dream that wasn't even mine. Why was I spending money? Why did I need to spend money? That's not my dream. I just wanted to be happy, right? I wanted a peaceful life. I didn't need to get the newest brands and trends of all of this nonsense. And so what, advice could you give? And I would say to the young people out there is you have to define your goals. You have to find your dreams. Don't be sold on someone else's dream, and don't put yourself in a situation to become a debt slave. It's really super easy to do that when you're young because you don't have the experience of pain yet. Most people. I only learned these lessons because I had to go through overwhelming pain. I chose to keep my head in the sand. I chose to stay into debt. I chose to keep kicking the can down the road until it blew up in my face and ultimately led to a decade of pain and suffering, financially and mentally. So I don't want that to happen to you. No young adult or anyone for that matter should go through that. But unfortunately, a lot of you have to go through that to learn. And that breaks my heart. So Mitch, can we end here? Can you give a young adult that's going through that, struggling, they're still saving in their minds, but they're still struggling and they want to give up. They want to start spending on their credit cards so they can get the newest purse or Game Boy. I'm kidding. It's not really Game Boy. I'm not that old, but I did have a Game Boy. What was the one after the Game Boy? It was like a Sega. I don't remember what it was called. It only had an hour of battery, so it was trash. But give some advice to these young people. What is the most important thing a young person like her should be doing right now?
A young person will find every excuse not to do the right thing because they look at somebody who's older and say, well, you're not relevant in today's world. The truth of the matter is they would be much better off just for their own peace of mind for a day. Go to a soup kitchen. Go find a community of seniors in your vicinity, close to home, and go work there for a day. Just be a volunteer. One day in either place will kick all that nonsense out of your head because that can be your future. You could end up in a senior's home in memory care without any money. Now, what are you going to do? You could end up going bankrupt and having to restart. Now, what are you going to do? So you learn the exact opposite, right? It's called inversion. Whatever you're thinking, go and study the opposite, invert your position. And that will scare the crap out of you, out of a young person. And that is what is necessary. Because then you see, oh, well, if I don't save my money and I don't be smart, this could happen to me. I could end up on a food line. That is what is necessary. That will scare the crap out of them. And it's necessary.
That's hardcore. And that was well said. You can just see what other people have gone through. You don't have to go through the pain yourself. You could just listen to us as well, right? You could just do that. I mean, that would save a lot of pain and suffering, hopefully, right? If you can adjust in time, it may be already too late for most people. But regardless, Mitch, I really appreciate you. And I wanted to tell the viewers, again, don't forget, you guys, we are having our first seminar this Saturday, the 12th. Here it is right here. It is limited to 32 spots. It is how to protest the property tax home value. Come to this. This pretty much works in every single state. If you come to this, you're going to get the video. It is exclusive. I want to see you guys there. Please enroll if you are a homeowner, and we will teach you what you need to know to battle property taxes for your own house. Mitch Vexler, sir, well said today. I feel like you've been on a bit of a roll for you're always on a roll, but specifically the last 2 weeks, man. I've been really enjoying our conversations. And to the viewers, if you've been enjoying that too, let us know and let me know if you're going to come to that seminar. And we have more seminars planned as well. But other than that, guys, we're going to get you out of here. Have a great Monday. If you're out there investing in your life, in yourself, you guys already know we wish you luck, and we hope you win.